We are in our happy place, the Porsche stand at the New York International Auto Show. And Andrea, what do we have here?
We've got the brand new Porsche Macan EV, and you know what? It looks like a Macan, doesn't it? Sporty, dynamic looking. This is 188 inches in length, which is longer than the Macan gas model. It's not quite as wide or offer as much height, but it really does look like a Porsche.
Yeah, you get a longer wheelbase. Of course, they've got to fit the battery in, right? So that actually helps with concerns about the Macan. The Macan is a great handling sports car, crossover, SUV, but backseat legroom is at a premium. With this, you now actually get a much more usable interior space, all wrapped in what I think is a pretty slick looking ride.
Now, Porsche believes that they're going to target customers who obviously want an EV, but they think that they will deliver on this product for its timeless design, its performance. It comes in two models, the Macan 4. We're standing in front of the Macan Turbo in ice gray. I think I love this color. It's a classic.
Well, it's a bit lighter than chalk, right? So the battery is smaller than Taycan. This is a 100 kilowatt hour battery, 95 kilowatts usable, and that's why the longer wheelbase, you got to fit the battery in.
Okay, let's get into the specs of this Macan EV. This EV uses the latest generation of PCM electric motors on the front and rear axles. In combination with launch control, the Macan 4 produces up to 402 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. The Macan Turbo, 630 horsepower and 833 pound-feet of torque. Now the Macan 4 goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.2 seconds, and the Macan Turbo 3.3 seconds. That's 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds for the Macan 4 and 3.1 for the Turbo. The two models reach a top speed of 220 and 260 kilometers per hour. That's 136 and 161 miles per hour. The range has not been announced yet. It should be available closer to the delivery date, which is the second half of the year.
Now, as we mentioned, the usable battery size is 95 kilowatt hours and is compatible with 800 volt charging architecture with charging speeds up to 270 kilowatts. The battery can charge from 10 to 80% in 21 minutes. This EV uses an 800 volt architecture just like Taycan for faster charging. Now, many DC fast chargers are not capable of 800 volts. A lot of them are 400 volts, but Porsche has a workaround. At 400 volt charging stations, the high voltage switches in the battery and enables bank charging. What they do is they split the 800 volt battery into two batteries and you get 400 volts each.
Here's another great feature. The regen braking allows up to 240 kilowatt of power to be recuperated via the electric motors while driving. Both Macan models come standard with air suspension and Porsche Active Suspension Management electronic damping control, which features dampers with two-valve technology. For the first time, the Macan is available with optional rear axle steering with a maximum steering angle of 5 degrees. The Macan EV can tow just over 4,400 pounds, which is a great tow rating. Boy, it feels good to get in a Porsche. The first thing I noticed when I got in is the smell of the leather. I mean, the quality is beautiful in here, top notch. Now, this has got an available 10.9-inch passenger screen, and this is a 10.9-inch touchscreen. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and this curved digital driver display is 12.6 inches. Now, there's some things I want to point out in here. Once again, we're back into that piano black at the center console. I'm not crazy about piano black, especially in a high-end model like a Porsche. It is an interesting center console. It's kind of floating. There's some good storage in here, which I do like. Obviously, because there isn't a traditional shifter at the center console, and it's moved to here, which we recently saw in the Cayenne, and of course the Taycan EV has it as well. It does clean things up here, which is nice. However, I would prefer a traditional shifter in such a sporty SUV. You've got two cup holders in the middle, and you have your center console storage area, which is pretty deep, not too bad. And then the door pockets are fairly wide, but they're not very long. This model that we're sitting in, the Turbo, has got the panoramic sunroof. We've got heated and ventilated front seats. Now, this is where you're going to control all of your climate right here. And this is where your wireless charger is. Now, drive modes, which we usually see with Porsche, is right on the steering wheel, so that hasn't changed at all. On this model, we've got driver's seat memory, but these features are not all standard. And then this model also has the available Burmester sound system.
So, love driving the Macan, the regular gasoline models, but the problem is it has the heart of a sports car in an SUV, and there are compromises, and the biggest one is rear seat legroom. This is quite a bit different. You get useful seating position and good legroom. Now the seat, we've moved it up, and pretty good headroom as well. It does feel bigger than the regular Macan because the wheelbase, as we mentioned, has been stretched. In addition to that, your hip point is now lower by an inch. So you have a bit of a rake to the rear. Your knees sit up, it's still comfortable, and you still have some room. So for people who maybe passed over a Macan gas model in the past, might be able to make this work for a family because it's bigger. Have we mentioned that this is bigger? It's bigger. All right, so behind the rear seats, 19.1 cubic feet of space back here. Now under the floor, there is no spare tire. This is a tire repair kit, pretty common with EVs. When you fold the seats down, it's 48 cubic feet of space. So a bigger Macan, you get more useful space for the passengers and all your stuff.
So Porsche has released pricing for the Macan EV. In Canada, the Macan 4 starts at just over $99,000 and the Macan Turbo just over $125,000.
In the United States, the Macan 4 starts at $78,000, almost $79,000, and the Turbo is just over $105,000 US. Okay, before we wrap up, it's time for the party trick. This has a frunk. Andrea, how do you get in?
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Whoa!
This offers 3 cubic feet of space, not a ton of space, but it's nice that Porsche is offering a frunk.
You put your cable in there maybe,
yeah.
Subway sandwich, bikini, Andrea's ready for the weekend.
That's it, just a little bikini will fit in, no. So the Macan EV hits dealerships in the fall, but if you want to place your order, you can do it now.
All right, that's a look at the all-new Macan EV. If you like it, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you next time. Thanks for watching.